Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. Today I wanted to talk a bit about discipline and self-love. I feel like I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and just like the idea of discipline has been showing up a lot in my life recently, and I feel like I've been having to lean into that a lot more rather than relying on motivation. People often ask me questions about productivity and like just staying motivated and like how to get things done, and I feel like the idea of discipline and discipline being a form of self-love really kind of explains how I stay motivated and productive. So yeah, I just thought we'd have a little chit chat. I want to do more of these kind of like chatty videos. It's kind of nice just to sit down and talk sometimes. Having self-discipline and showing up for yourself is a form of self-love, and it's like you're saying to yourself, like, you're worthy of this, I'm going to do it for you. I feel like honestly and truly you really can't rely on motivation as like the driver in your life to get things done, because motivation is not like a constant force. Motivation comes and goes. Like I feel like when I get really inspired, I might have like a surge of motivation for like a week, but like that doesn't necessarily last, and it's not like a constant. So then there then becomes times where I have to lean into discipline in order to do things rather than solely relying on motivation. But I feel like following through and having discipline is a form of self-love, because then my future self gets to reap the benefits of what past or current me is doing. Like there are things that I do in my everyday life that don't necessarily bring me joy in the present, but I do it for the future gratification. And I feel like this is also kind of about having perspective and being able to see that your current actions aren't necessarily for the current you, but like you in the future, you're going to be able to benefit from your actions in the present, if that makes sense. I feel like little things that I do every day that are just like acts of discipline for me are things like when I meal prep. That's an act of discipline, because it's like I'm not meal prepping for my current enjoyment. I'm meal prepping so that me throughout the week can be happy and doesn't have to stress about food, and it's like something that's done. That's an act of discipline for me. Or if I'm waking up early to go to the gym in the morning, like packing my bag the night before, organizing my clothes. Not going to bed really late is a big one that I'm trying to work on. And just like in general, noticing my own like toxic habits and patterns and trying to unlearn things and like trying to unpack things and just like interrogate my own emotions and thoughts. I definitely feel like discipline shows up for me every day in sleep. Like when it gets late and I'm like, Cameron, we need to go to bed. Like future you is going to benefit if we go to sleep right now. And somehow we just always slip, and I end up going to bed late, and I'm like, how did this happen? We said we're going to go to bed early. Like this is such a big thing for me that I try so hard to be disciplined on. I feel like often the current me wins in that scenario, because I'm doing things that bring current me pleasure. Like maybe I'm journaling, maybe I'm watching something, maybe I'm on my phone, and it's like these things are all bringing me joy in the moment, and then they're hard to pull away from because we love instant gratification. I feel like I'll get to a point where I'm like, oh, I'll figure it out. Like, it's not going to be that bad. I'll survive with 6 hours sleep. And then the next day I'm beating myself up going, why did we do that? Why did we do that? And I feel like when I have those thoughts as well, it's like, it's not about being able to survive on 6 hours sleep. It's about giving future you the best chance. It's like, how can I give the tomorrow version of me all the tools and allow her to be fully equipped to have the best day that she can have? Rather than how can I get the most pleasure from this moment right now and not think about the future version of myself. I feel like just saying like, oh, I'll figure it out tomorrow, like it's not that deep. That's not self-love. But I feel like in this example, like being disciplined and saying, no, this is enough for tonight. I don't need any more instant gratification right now. I can go to sleep, have a good day tomorrow, give myself the best chance for tomorrow, is a form of self-love. But I feel like in saying all this, like with that example with going to bed early that I have, it's like you also have to have self-compassion at the same time. You have to be able to be kind and caring and gentle with yourself, which seems like a bit of a paradox, and I guess it is in a way. I feel like everything in life has two sides. In this bedtime example, yes, if I ended up staying up late, yes, I succumb to like my present self's desires and wants. But at the same time, I feel like it's important to grant myself compassion in that moment and not beat myself up over it, because otherwise it can kind of end up in a bit of a vicious cycle. I also feel like the more you practice self-discipline, the easier it gets. It's like building habits and routines. Like say, for example, you wanted to wake up earlier in the morning. This is definitely like a thing that I've had. Like I've been wanting to wake up earlier in the morning before work so I can work out and get more done before I start the day, because then I finish work at like 5:30 and the day is kind of over. For the longest time, I was like, I'm not a morning person. And I actually believed it. Like I just genuinely would say, like, I'm not a morning person. It's just not me. Like 7 a.m. was the earliest I could fathom waking up. Anything earlier, I was like, it's not me. It's not for me. It's just not me. And then I tried for a while waking up at 6, and it was just the hardest thing ever. And I just couldn't do it. Like I tried and then I failed, I gave up, and I was like, no, I can't do this. It's actually not for me. I think a few months later, I started trying again. Eventually I got there. Now I can wake up at 5:30 and I feel fine. But it took me so long to be in this place. And also I feel like seasonal change is really important when talking about like waking up early, because in winter it's curtains. I cannot wake up at 5:30. I mean, I'm going to try this year because I feel like now I've got like the foundational like habit built and I feel fine waking up at 5:30, but it's definitely harder when the weather's cold. But that's a whole other thing. Anyway, so yeah, my point is that like it's always a process creating routines and habits, and having that discipline with yourself. It's like not something that you can just suddenly be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be so disciplined. Like I just feel like it's a process, and that's why granting yourself compassion and being gentle with yourself is so important. I would say if you're like wondering what in your life, like what areas of your life you can bring discipline into, I would say look at your goals and your ambitions and ask yourself if like what you're currently doing is aligning with those goals and those ambitions, or are there certain things that you could add into your everyday life now that would be like taking small incremental steps to reach that goal, if that makes sense? Like if you have a goal, like what is that person, like what is that person showing up as every day? Like what is that version of you doing? And like thinking about how you can take small steps to sort of show up as that person in your everyday life. I don't know, I feel like sometimes we set goals, and well, I do this when I reflect. I realize that like maybe I've set a goal, and that goal I'll be like 2 months into the year and I'm like, I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere with this goal. Like I feel like I haven't taken any steps towards that. And then I look at my current routines and my current daily habits and I'm like, it's because I'm not putting in any effort to reach that goal. I feel like sometimes that's okay. Like if you have multiple goals, I feel like we're always going through like different seasons and cycles in our lives, and like maybe sometimes we're more focused on one thing and other times we're more focused on another. And it's like allowing yourself to sort of like not constantly feel like you have to do everything. You can do anything, not everything. So it's important to give yourself time. I don't know, I feel like there's a fine line between like a discipline and grace. And I feel like the only way you can find what the right balance is for you is to try things out and like go on this journey and like try building new habits, try being more disciplined, like just seeing like little areas where discipline can show up more in your life. Also, now that we're on the topic of goals, I feel like this is like such a note to myself, but like just goal setting to me feels like such like a monumentous sort of thing. I definitely feel like that's tied to like a fear of failure and feeling like if I don't achieve this, then I'm a failure, which is not true at all. And I feel like our worthiness is not tied to our goals at all. It's just like something I have to work through. But anyway, I feel like in the past, I've definitely been like very rigid and like controlling with my goals, I guess, and feeling like I've made this goal, so I have to follow through and I have to do this. Whereas like I feel like now I'm in a place where I'm more like going with the flow a bit more and understanding that like things are always changing and moving, and it's like the goals you set aren't set in stone. I feel like in the past I've definitely gotten like fixated on goals and like not allowed things to shift naturally. I just feel like naturally as we grow and change, our goals are constantly like changing and shifting as well. I don't know, there's kind of like a note to self, but I also feel like maybe it will resonate with someone, because I don't know, I feel like often our thoughts and just like our human experience is so much more connected and tied than we think it is. I feel like we think that we experience things in isolation, when truly like if you say something that you're feeling, it's like there's so many people in the world that are feeling the same way. Like when we set our goals, we don't see the full picture. We see life as it is in that moment. And then as we slowly like move through life and we gain experiences, the picture's growing, like our lens is widening. And maybe it might be like, oh shit, like I thought I wanted that, but like I actually want this. And that's okay. Like pivoting and changing the goalposts, that's completely fine and completely just like part of the experience. Also with these acts of discipline that I have in my life, like when future me gets to reap the benefits of something that past me has done, I'm always like, look at you go, like look at us, we did that. And it feels so fulfilling, and it does feel like self-love when you have that feeling and you feel like that delayed gratification is so sweet. It's so much sweeter than the instant gratification. When you feel that gratification and you feel like, oh, past me did that for present me and this feels amazing, it makes you want to do it more often, and then it makes you want to build those habits and build that discipline more in your life. And I feel like it makes you more of a patient person. Like, I think it's really good to be able to have that delayed gratification for things and everything not be so instant. I think that a lot of things in life these days are too instant, and we are getting so like wired for instant pleasure and instant hits of like, that feels good. Whereas sometimes the delay and the time between makes it so much better, so much sweeter, and you just feel like so much more fulfilled than you were if that was to be something that was instant. I feel like the word discipline can sort of come off as like a harsh kind of like militant kind of word. I don't know. I feel like sometimes it seems very like harsh, like you have to do this, you got to do this now, da 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 da. I feel like choosing discipline and being forced into discipline are two different things. And I feel like when discipline is forced, it's when it's a negative thing. But when you choose discipline, that's when it's like this act of self-love, because ultimately it's something that you're going to enjoy. It's not a punishment, because if it would only be a punishment if you weren't getting anything out of it. Whereas when you're disciplined and you have self-discipline and you're doing things for yourself, future you is benefiting. You're doing it for the reward ultimately. So yeah, to end the video, I would definitely say be gentle with yourself, have compassion with yourself, visualize your goals, be able to see things clearly so that you know what discipline you need to bring into your life, like what you need to be disciplined for, what are like, I don't know, I feel like if you have no goalposts and no like clear vision of anything, it's hard to say, oh yeah, I'm going to be disciplined, because it's like, you're going to be disciplined for what? Like, what are you trying to achieve? And also, don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to pivot. The goalposts can always move. Things are never set in stone. And also that improving your discipline and building habits and routines is a process and not something that happens overnight. Yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment down below if you have anything else you want to say, anything else you want to add. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.